First of all, today is a great pleasure to have Mr. Philppe Rahm with us back in Taichung. First time in Fujian University. And his wonderful work is just next door. We will see very, very soon. And our dear professor, Stephen Rowe, will make an introduction for Mr. Philppe Rahm. 今天非常荣幸的能请到Philppe Rahm先生来到台中，来到我们家，他第一次来我们家。大家也知道，Philppe先生主要的作品即将是在我们隔壁的水南经贸园区里的中央公园青翠园，所以待会会跟我们做介绍。And today we also have our friends from Taichung government and the general contracting for the project. 同时我们也有来自台中市政府建设局的伙伴，以及水南这个 project 的 ECM 我们的伙伴一起来分享。So without further ado, let's give a round of applause to show our warmest welcome. 我们以热烈的掌声鼓掌欢迎Mr. Philppe先生。
I'll just quickly introduce Philppe. I first met Philppe when we were teaching at the AA, and he made a really strong impression on me as one of the most innovative and clearly focused young teachers, practitioners, and theorists of architecture. And I think it's a really privilege and an honor to have him here today. And it's really an honor for Taichung to be host to one of his first built projects, and a project that I'm sure will be completely significant and very important. Philppe has a long list of honors and awards and such like. I'll just mention some of them.
所以 Stephen 老师第一次遇到Philppe先生是他们在 A 一同教书的时候。当初Philppe先生给的印象以及带给学生的，就是非常有启发性，无论是在理论、是在创作方面，都是非常有启发性的一位老师。所以在 A 结下的缘分，之后还不断的联络，而且这次也非常荣幸的，不单是我们的学校，台中市也可以成为发挥他专长的一个场域。
So Philippe's work has been exhibited and published globally. He has represented Switzerland at the Venice Biennale and been selected for the Biennale in 2008 by Rahm Betsky. He's been nominated for the 2009 Ordas Prize, 2008 and 2010 Chernikov Prize. His work has been exhibited in many countries, just to mention a few significant ones: Archila in France, the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art, CCA in Itakushu, Pompidou Center, Manifesta 7, Louisiana in Denmark, Guggenheim, and the list goes on and on. In 2007, he had a solo show at the Canadian Center for Architecture in Montreal.
Wow, that is a long list. 总之，大家可以感受得到Philppe先生是一位国际知名的建筑师。他的作品稍微提到几项，刚才提到的2008的威尼斯双年展，Philppe先生就有参与过，还有我们会将他惊人的领域，我这边有17页，可以播在网上分享给各位同学。
And I think very significantly, Philppe has taught at almost all the top architecture schools in the world. He taught at the AA, at Princeton for the last couple of years as guest professor, at ETH in Switzerland, and this year we'll be starting to teach at the GSD in Harvard. And this is a testament to the scope and importance of the work that Philppe is doing, and its influence on the younger generation.
所以，Philppe先生的作品不但是扬名全球，而且他在学界也有许多的贡献。在知名的 高等学院都有任教，从刚才提到的 AA， 美国的 Princeton， 然后跟ETH 在法国，然后在瑞士，然后今年开始要在哈佛 GSD 任教。
And there are many other schools where he's also taught. And giving lectures at Harvard, Cooper Union, UCLA, Yale, SCIARC, Columbia, MIT, and many more schools. And I think it's a privilege to have him here today to lecture to students at Fengjia to get this caliber of speaker in Taichung is very lucky.
总之，也参与过教学演讲的学校也在不计其数。今天真的是我们的荣幸，能够请到这么重量级的人物来跟我们分享。谢谢。
And Philppe is not just a theorist and teacher, he's also a practitioner. And today we will see the work that he's beginning to build. And that's very exciting to see this work that comes from such a deep theoretical background to be implemented and to finally be built.
Philppe 先生不只是一个理论的学者，正是在实践面上面，我们也可以期待，然后有机会也可以再去参观已经盖出来，还有期待即将盖出来的作品。
Okay, so we'll hand over to Philppe and hopefully see some of this exciting work. Thanks. 因为时间的关系，Philppe先生主要会用英文来演讲，然后这位美丽的佩瑶小姐会帮忙做简短、很精湛的翻译。
Okay, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here and to present my work in the university. And thank you, Stefan. We are in touch for a long time, so it's very nice to meet you again. And so today I would like to introduce my work. So it will be a different project. Of course, I will present the Jade Eco Park for Taichung. But before I will show some other project, and I will try to explain a little my position about architecture, how I consider architecture. I don't know how we could do. Okay. Maybe the first idea about architecture is to say that architecture is maybe more about the space. If you ask every architect, he will say to you that architecture is about space. This is a design of space. And if you try to think about space, there is something curious that all the architects are speaking about shape, about form, about the solid, but in reality, maybe the solid is not really the target of architecture. The target is more the space itself, it's more the atmosphere, because maybe if you think what is the big difference between architecture and sculpture, for example, is that architecture you could go inside You could go inside the sculpture, so it's more about the space inside, and sculpture is more a solid object where you stay in front of the object. And
对于来说，建筑就是我们在讲空间，因为对大部分人来说，建筑就是一个实体。那如果我们拿建筑和雕塑来相比的话，建筑就是一个我们可以进入建筑里面，但是雕塑品的话，我们只是从外面来看它。
Okay, and so maybe if we think that architecture is about space, we need to define this space, and the architect is traditionally more interesting into the solid element. And maybe one reason about this is that before we didn't know what was a space itself. If you think in the old time, the space was something, it was air, it was nothing, it was the void, the emptiness. And it's only during the 17th century that we discover that the space is not empty, it's the void, the emptiness is not empty, there is a physical quality, there is a pressure, so you could compress like a balloon until a certain moment, and at this moment after you can no more, so it means that the air is not unmaterial, it's a real material that has some physical quality. And during the 18th century, we also discovered that the air is not one element, it's not something unique, but it's composed by different gases like nitrogen, like oxygen, and it means that there is a kind of chemical quality inside this void. And then later, during the 19th century, we discovered that there is also some bacteria, some virus that are inside, so there is a kind of biological life. And during the 20th century, we understand that there is some electromagnetic wavelengths, like the light, the mobile phone electromagnetic waves, all these invisible waves that are inside the space. So it means that in reality, the space is a real material. It's not empty, it's a real material. And as an architect, maybe you could start to design the space itself. You could think maybe before, because we didn't know what was the space, so we designed the envelope of the space. We were designing the wall, the ceiling, the solid around the void. But today, we have the knowledge and we have the tools also for starting to designing the space itself like a material.
因为我们注重空间，所以我们就要来研究这个空间到底是什么东西。那从以前开始，大家都觉得空间就是一个空的东西，但是从16世纪开始，就是经过科学家、物理家慢慢发现，空气是有，就是空的东西是有很多物质，有物理物质、生理物质不一样的东西来组合成。所以我们就不应该再像以前的建筑师就只是设计一个墙、一个屋顶，把这个空间包起来，而是利用这些东西，就是空气中有的东西，然后来制造建筑。
So traditionally, when we as an architect, you was working with elements of architecture. It was like during the 19th century, there is some encyclopedia about or dictionary that showed the different elements of architecture, like a column, a wall, a stairs, a room. That was like solid element to compose, like element of architecture. And then you have also element of composition, and this element of composition was like symmetry, asymmetry, or addition. For example, you add a column, or you multiply the column, or you add one room to another room, and so it was like element of composition. But today, we could think that maybe we could move from the solid to the void and start to think that the element of architecture could be the emptiness element of the space itself. So the element of architecture could be today heat, light, temperature, humidity. It could be all these elements that compose the space itself, where we are really, what compose really the architecture and the space. And the element of composition, maybe it could be no more like symmetry or addition or inclusion or multiplication, but it could be some meteorological phenomena like convection, evaporation, conduction, pressure, radiation, that are all these elements that make movement with the element of architecture.
早期的建筑师是利用空间或是柱子、墙面，然后不一样的组合来制造一个建筑物。那我们现在philppe提倡是他觉得这些大气的，就是气象学里面的一些就是发现空气可以有的一些动词，也可以用这些方式来组合建筑。例如说传导、对流、导热、压力，或者是辐射。
So this is some project we have made based on different principles, different meteorological principles. This is some project we made based on convection. So this is some drawing we made with some software to analyze the movement of the heat, the displacement of the air based on the convective movement. For example, this one was for the Venice Biennale. It was one of the first projects we made where we start to analyze the movement of convection. Some other projects are based on evaporation, so it's because there is all this question of humidity in the air, and one of the challenge of the architecture design is to deal with this humidity, like with the ventilation, or to put some fresh air and to move the exhaust air somewhere else. So we work on this kind of element. Another.
现在这些是更早期的作品。我第一个看到的是有关热对流，那它利用热气上升和空气下降的原理，然后这个是第二个是蒸发，利用蒸发。
So some other are based on conduction. It's about thermal inertia, but maybe I would like to add something very important now. Is that if maybe the fundamental reason for architecture is the climate, because if you think why we need architecture, maybe the first reason is because there is too many sun and you want to create shadow, or there is too many rain and you will be protected from the rain, or it's too cold and you create a warm pocket of air, or it's too warm and you create a fresh area. So this is the fundamental reason of architecture. There is maybe no other reason. It's so to change some part of the climate and to give a special quality for the body, because the body needs a kind of comfort zone between 20 degrees, 19 degrees to 28 degrees Celsius. So we have to think that this is the reason for architecture.
如果我们想到最原始，为什么我们需要建筑？那建筑主要是提供人遮阴还有躲雨的地方，那提供人体一个舒适的环境，然后调节人体的气温。
And this fundamental reason match today very closely to the problem of the global warming, because we know that today there is a phenomenon of CO2, the gas that go in the atmosphere and start to warm the planet. And the reason of this phenomena is based on the most production of green gas are coming from the building, because the building use oil, use gas for air conditioning, for heating system, for warming the water. So we know today that 50% of the green gas that produce the global warming are coming from buildings. So it means that the architects are on the first row to fight against global warming by working on sustainability, on green building. And if you analyze what is the strategy to go into sustainability in architecture, it's based on energy reduction, on thermal inertia or to close the building with insulation, the thermal insulation, to regulate the ventilation. So everything, if you think about these words, it's about meteorological things, it's about atmosphere, it's energy, it's ventilation, it's thermal insulation, so it's about climate.
那对现代人来说，我们要对付的气候不只是遮阴和躲雨，我们还有因为很多污染，像二氧化碳的增加，那这些都是因为其实大部分的污染都是建筑所造成的，50%的 green gas 都是因为建筑。那这些建筑不只是就是建的时候会有造成污染，还有建筑本身也会消耗能源，所以我们应该从建筑的开始就要开始想，我们要怎么样能够节省这些能源？我们可以不只要通风，还要利用这些隔热，然后用这些想法来做制作一个滤镜。
So if the climate, if to fight against global warming, if the climate is in a certain way the goal to reach to the protection of the climate, I think that today we could also use the climate as tools. We could, this is the goal, this is the target, but it could be also the tools for architecture. So what we say today is maybe before, if you think in the modernist way, it was like form for a function with Sullivan for the modern architecture, and if during maybe the postmodern period this was more a reverse position, like a function follow form. Today maybe we could think that the position could be that form and function follow climate. So it means we will first design the climate and after find form and then find a function.
那我们现在来探讨建筑，我们觉得可以以气候的方式来探讨建筑。那form follow function， 对，就是这个大家都知道。然后，但是我们想提倡的是这个气候可以，就是机能不再。形式不再是跟随在机能以后，而是气候应该是在形式之后。
So I would like to be more clear maybe by showing a first project we made in 2008. So it was at this period we start to analyze convection as a design tool for doing architecture. And for this project, we start with two different criteria. The first criteria was a Swiss criteria, a Swiss recommendation, Swiss standard to economize energy and to reduce oil consumption and in order to reduce the green gas effect. And for this, there is some precise minimum and maximum temperature according to the clothes and according to the movement of the body. And for example, this is something obligatory for the public building, and this is something like recommendation for private building. But it says, for example, that a corridor, maybe it's not so here, it's a corridor or stairs, could be warm. This is for a cold country. In Switzerland, you need heating system all the year except a few months during the years. But it could be exactly the reverse position for Taiwan because it's with air conditioning, not with radiator, but with air conditioning. But here it said that the corridor, the stairs, could be warm only at 15 degrees Celsius. normally you in a normal condition you need 21 degrees Celsius. It's like the minimum as the standard of the comfortable temperature. But they say in reality for the stairs it could be warm only at 15 degrees Celsius, because you don't stay a lot of time inside the stairs, and you also move the body and you create your own energy by moving the body. So it could be only 15 degrees Celsius. So it means that if you don't warm the stairs at 20 degrees Celsius or 21 degrees Celsius, but only at 15, you will economize 6 degrees all the year. So it means at the end it will be a big economy of energy.
这个是瑞士的一个温度的标准。那根据不一样的机能，那根据人体会在这些机能里面不一样的活动，那有不一样的温度。那如果我们能够依照温度来设计，这样子可以节省很多能源。
So and then for an exhibition room, because this is a program of a museum, but it will be the same for a school or for any kind of program. Exhibition room, it could be warm at 18 degrees Celsius, because 18 degrees Celsius it's a little cold, but you are moving inside the exhibition room, you are moving the body, so 18 is okay because you are moving. The restaurant could be at 20 because you are motionless, but not a lot of time, so 20 is okay. And the office, you are sitting during a lot of hours, so if it is only 18 or 19, you will become cold after after 20 minutes, so it's more 21 or 22. So it gives some precise temperature according to the body movement and to the clothes also, because for the house, for example, it's linked if you are naked or you have clothes, so it's different temperature. And this is made in order to economize money, to economize energy, to reduce the green gas effect, because you could economize a lot of heat if the exhibition room at 18 degrees Celsius and not at 21. You know, it's 3 degrees, and after the few months, it will be a big quantity of oil.
我们拿展览空间来说，因为人虽然把它限制在18度，但是因为人会在看展览的时候跟自己走动，所以人体也是会自己发热。那譬如说像在餐厅，大部分就是坐着，那活动比较少，所以温度就比较高一点。那在办公室里面，活动的量又会比在吃东西的时候少，所以温度就比较高。那如果我们根据这些温度来做设计的话，那我们就可以非常节省能源，就不会因为温度太高，然后我们需要把它降温，然后让它加热，而浪费能源。
So this is the first criteria. It's a sustainable criteria, and the second criteria is a physical law. It's a law of Archimedes that shows that the hot air go up and the cold air go down. It's a physical law, and this law creates a kind of problem in the building when it's cold outside and you are warming inside, because the natural curve of the temperature in the room it will be a little colder down, and then after it will become very warm under the ceiling. And in reality, it's a lack, it's a loss of heat, because we need to warm in the ideal curve will be the opposite curve of the natural law. It will be to get a little more warm on the foot, to be at 20 degrees Celsius there, and after the head, upper the head, it could be very cold because nobody are there, so it could be 0 degree after, because but the natural curve creates the opposite, and because it's all the warm air go up, stay under the ceiling, and it means that, for example, it's different here, but in Switzerland, it means that in a room like this, it's very warm under the ceiling, and it means that you have used a lot of energy and oil to create all this volume of air, this big volume of air and nobody uses. So it's a kind of big quantity of loss of energy.
我们要讲解的是一个他在瑞士的作品。那像我们看这个图，就是一般来说热空气上升，冷空气下降。那这个曲线，我们可以看到在建筑物一般来说下面是冷的，然后上面是热的。但是对人体来说，我们需要的其实是我们在脚踩的地方最好是热的，然后从我们头顶以上的温度，其实我们比较没有那么在乎。那因为在瑞士，如果要把这个空气加热，需要花很多的能源，所以我们希望可以调节到下面是热的，上面是冷的，但是在头顶以上我们就不需要再把它加热，就像因为一般来说上面会是热的，但是我们不需要这个热的能量。
So we start to think because the nature create this curve, and this is not an economical curve, it's not economic, it's not ecologic. Is it possible to create this reverse curve? And and so there is in the nature some phenomena where this reverse curve exists. It's like some current, like the Gulf Stream in the sea, because it's linked to the difference of the salt water and the non-salt water, because the non-salt water is lighter than the salt water, so it creates the Gulf Stream in the ocean. And we propose here to build a kind of meteorological section, so it's a section, and we introduce two radiators at different temperatures. This is the warmer radiator, and this is the colder radiator. So by creating a kind of imbalance, because normally the warm is there and the cold is down, so by creating this imbalance, by moving the warm radiator down and the cold radiator up, we start to generate a flow of air that start to move, the warm air move and touch the cold surface and go down, and it generates a flow, a stream, like a stream of air, and it generates also some shape and some form, because for example some space, because here it will be, in reality when I say cold, it's not cold, it's this is like 25 degrees, it was like 22 degrees Celsius, and this one was 25. So it was like the corridor temperature and the bathroom temperature. So it was like the two polarity of the house of one building. So it's to create in between these two polarities to create the space. So here you could find a space at 22 degrees Celsius, here it will be 21, here it will be 20, or here 18 Celsius. So by just designing the position of the heating system, you start to create a climate with different quality.
就像海洋有海水跟淡水的对流，那我们也可以利用这个制造一个热辐射板跟冷辐射板，然后进行空间的对流。那就在对流的过程，我们也会制造很多空间，像这个红色的，越红的就是越温度越高，那比较蓝色的温度比较低。那红色就很适合在办公室，然后冷的部分就可以就是利用厕所空间。
So for this project, we start to think that all the building will become like a meteorological climate. So we have introduced in the section the lower part of the temperature of the building at 15 degrees Celsius. That could be stairs, but also storage. And we introduce the higher part of the building that have to be the office, the working space. And we place them inside the section, and then it generates an entire climate inside the space.
那我们以剖面来说， 说，这个红色地方是大概22度，那就是办公室的空间。那蓝色这边下面就比较凉爽，可以用来做行动比如说楼梯或者厕所的空间。
And so it creates the plan. So as I said before, that form and function follow climate. So it means we first design the climate, and then we find the shape, the form according to the climate. So it means this is the ground level, and so the cold area in blue is very big. So it means the storage will be very big. And the exhibition room is in between in the green, because the storage is at 15 degrees Celsius, the exhibition will be at 18, and the office will be at 21. So it means that we follow the movement of the temperature inside the building, and all the space, all the stairs. So we go. This is the first floor, second floor. So the heat becomes bigger. So the storage change the shape, and the exhibition room is here and then by going higher, so the warmer space becomes bigger, the storage becomes smaller, the exhibition room is in between, and then it's becomes here and here. So, and at the end, at the top of the building, is a very little colder area and a big warmer area. And this is how the shape of the building is organized according to the different temperature, and all the form look at different temperature and go to move in the plan to find some different temperature.
所以主要理论就是形体和机能都是跟随着气象，所以它会主要先把一个气候设计出来，然后再把形体和机能设计进去。那像我们刚刚已经设计了一个对流，然后把温度都设定出来，然后我们再放它的形体，然后还有机能都是跟随着这个气候。那所有的楼板墙面也都是通风的，然后让这个建筑物里面的对流不会中断。
So of course, for doing this, we need to keep some hole everywhere to let the air moving in the whole building and to create this meteorology, this atmosphere inside the building. So it creates a shape, it creates a visible quality at the end.
所以这个建筑的氛围就是这样创造而来的。
I will very quickly just show this project. It was a little the same idea to work on the meteorological phenomena, but if the first project was inside, this project deals with outside condition, and it's because it was a very big building that it would create a lot of shadow under on the north, on social housing that are there. So we have proposed to dilate the space in between the room, to let the sun going through and let the sun going to the behind to the social housing. And we did the same strategy for the wind, because we have a cold wind coming from the north, and it will be blocked by the building there. And we propose to open the building to let the wind going through, so it will be not cold, stay cold at the back of the building. And by opening space in between the rooms, we use it as a tank for creating a tank of fresh air that could be naturally warm during the winter or cold during the summer.
第一个作品是在一个在瑞士的美术馆，那现在这个是一个刚刚那个是比较内部，那这个是比较跟外部比较有关系，然后这个是一个在法国的作品，那我们主要我们的建筑物的后面就是北边是很多的国家，那 因为我建筑的关系就会制造很多影子，所以我们要把它分散。然后还要因为从北边会吹来很冷风，所以我们也把建筑物的量体打散，这样才能让风透过。那接着建筑量体它本身又有对流的效果。
Now I would like to present the Jade Eco Park. Sometimes we call it Jade Metal Park, but it's Jade Eco Park. And this project is, we won the competition 2 years ago. And when we start to think about this project, I start to think why we need to do a park. What is the reason to do a park today? And I start to read some old book about park, like because the intention of the park of the urban park was during the 19th century by Olmsted in New York with Central Park, or with Alphonse and Haussmann in Paris with the Bois de Boulogne and some different Butte Chaumont, some different parks in France, in Paris. And this was at least during the 19th century, they think that we need to create park. And when you read the memories of the designer, of the landscape designer like Olmsted, the first page he explained that the reason why he designed Central Park was to clean the air and to be the green lung of New York and to absorb the pollution and to create a better air and the health. He was happy in this memory because he said the health of the New Yorker is better now with Central Park. So it was really a climatic idea. It was not really a romantic idea to have a park, but it was really something to clean the air, something to have a climatic action on the city.
接下来我们要讲解的是台中青翠园。那一开始设计的时候，他想研究的是为什么我们要设计一个公园。那在19世纪，我们有在纽约有一个中央公园，然后法国也有一个熊猫公园。那在这个中央公园的建筑师，他有一个回忆录。那最开始他就写，为什么他要设计这个中央公园？因为他想要清新空气。那最后他很开心，因为就是纽约市民的健康也因为这个公园设计公园不是一个浪漫的想法，它是一个因为人体的需要还有气候。
And in the book of Alphonse, the landscape designer of Haussmann during the 19th century, also in the first page he explained why he used trees in the street, in the boulevard, because before there is no trees inside the street. The reason was not a romantic idea to bring nature into the street, but it was because during the summer the streets were made in stone and it became very warm, and so he used the trees like climatic devices to create shadow to protect the horses from overheat. So, and also the same reason for the park, it was to create a microclimate of freshness during the summer where the Parisian people could go and cool themselves in the park.
那像在公园里面，平常路上都是石头，那在夏天就会非常炎热。那种植树木主要是让人遮阴，它就像一个气候装置来调节人体的温度。
So I was aware that this idea of climate is very important in the fundamental reason to do a park. And then it's a kind of funny story, but it's a true story that I was discussing with a Taiwanese girl in Paris, and I say what she think about park in Taiwan, and she told me that she doesn't like park because it's very humid, there is a lot of mosquitoes, and she prefers to go in shopping mall.
那他在巴黎在做设计公园之前，他也问了一个台湾女生的意见，那不是我。这个女生她说她非常不喜欢去公园，因为台湾的公园又湿又热，而且很多蚊子。
And so I was really thinking that okay, we need to do something about the climate. We need to provide freshness, to provide maybe clean air, to provide maybe a space where it's a little more dry, because Taiwan and Taichung is a very humid, warm, and a little polluted, more than East Coast city. And we need to bring something to give the clean and a more cool and a more dry area.
那台中整体来说就是比较炎热和比较潮湿，那污染方面比东岸又高了一些。
So for doing this, so we start to think that these three elements, the most important climatic element to do the park will be the heat, the humidity, because it's warm and it's humid, and the pollution. So how to deal with these three targets? And so we first start to think on the site. On this side, is there some place where it will be a little colder than some other? And so the sun will be always the same, the temperature will be always the same. There is only one factor that is a little different. It is the wind coming from the north. And we know that there is a north wind coming from the north that is blowing all the year, and also during the summer. Of course, during the summer there is a southwest wind that comes from the sea, but there is a lot of days also where there is still the north wind coming there. So this the wind, this cold wind, the temperature of this cold wind is a little lower, lower than 32 degrees, because we know that 32 degrees is a limit. When a wind, if the wind is warmer than 32 degrees, it becomes not comfortable. It's a warm air, and so it's not comfortable. But if it is lower, it will bring freshness like a fan, and it will affect the comfort of the body, the perceived temperature, because it will refresh the body by the movement of the air.
在青翠园里面，我们主要探讨的3个气象因素就是温度、湿度和污染。那以温度来说，我们想探讨是有没有在基地里面就已经比较凉爽的地方。那台湾台中大部分都是吹北风，只有冬天有点西南风。那北风永远带给我们的风永远都是低于32度。那我们知道32度以上，就算有风吹，我们也不会有凉爽的感觉。所以北风对我们在青翠园里面温度的探讨有很重要的意义。
So we work with our engineer, was a consular in Germany, to do a model, a CFD model of all the sites with the new building, the new construction, and to see where the wind coming from the north, where it will be more intense and less intense. So we find that there is some area near the Fujimoto Tower or there that will be a little more windy. So it means that potentially it will be a little more comfortable there because the wind will be more stronger there. So it's a little difference that we took at the first stage for doing the composition. And then by this software model, we create a first map this map shows where it's more a little naturally more colder and in red and more warmer, like it is everywhere else in the city. So in this is a white area, and we create a gradation map from high intensity to low intensity. And to give a materiality to this map, we propose to have climatic devices to do it, to create material this map. And so this is the map. This is a grid that takes the advantage of the cooling of the already cold area, and we place in the grid all these climatic devices, and these climatic devices could be trees. We use a lot of different techniques. It could be trees, but specific type of trees with big leaves that create a lot of shadow, or it could be some architectural structure that create a shelter against sun, like a parasol. Or it could be some mechanical devices that will blow some cold air. So it's a different range of technique, and we do it like in a regular grid. So we have like one tree, one device, one tree. So it's just a different quality of different techniques in order to increase the coldness of this area. So after this is a tree map. We could see all these trees, so we have a different precise choice of the trees. This is architectural devices that take place inside the same map. And then, as I said before, form and function follow climate. So here it will be, we could say that it will be the coolest place in the park. So there, the black dots here show all the leisure activities, so it will be bench, chess table, mahjong table. No. So different activity will be placed in this area, in the coldest area.
首先，我们做了一个温度的模拟图。那我们请那个德国的气候工程师帮我们模拟一个基地上的有关温度的模拟图。根据，因为我们周边还有很多建筑样体，然后公园里面又有一个手粉撞击的台湾塔，然后我们就可以看到越红的地方就会是风速越高，那越蓝的地方风速越低。那接着我们就可以从第二张图就可以，就是从第一张图研发出来的这个建成的温度的，在公园里面是温度的变化。那第三张图我们就决定，就是在越凉爽的地方，我们放越多的气候装置来增强它凉爽的效果。那我们是以格状的方式来增加或减少它的密度，然后我们也设计了很多我们叫做气候装置的东西。那这个气候装置是有被动式的，也有主动式的，那它都可以来提供降温的效果。那接着又是philppe的理论，它是机能是跟随着气候而来的，所以我们就决定在最凉爽的地方提供民众最休憩的活动。那有很多椅子，然后可以让民众坐着休息。
So it composed the first master plan of the park. The second master plan, the second composition, is the humidity, because Taichung is humid. There is the humidity in the air. So how to deal with this humidity, and is it possible to find a place that will be naturally a little more dry than some other? So we do a map, a model using the southwest wind that brings some humidity from the sea. And also we have worked with the landscape designer Catherine Mosbach for the drainage and for all the topographic basin, because we need to get all the district of the Getaway Park. The water of the district will go in the park for the rain. and if there is flood, so the park sometimes will be full of water. So we have created some hole there to absorb this water when there is a lot of water. So it means that there is sometimes some pond, some basin. So that will be here or here, some different place. So it means far from this, from the wind, from the southwest wind, and from this pond, we find some places that are naturally a little more dry. The air will be a little more dry than the other place. And so we took the same strategy. So where it's a little more dry, we increase the dryness by placing the drying climatic devices. So it's a lot of different mode of drying. It could be drying trees, that will be trees that have a lot of roots, floating roots that absorb the humidity of the air by the roots. Or it could be some architectural structure that will create shelter against rain. So if there is rain in the park, you could go under and be protected from the rain. Or it could be a kind of float platform, or it could be a device that will blow some dry air in this place. So this is all the trees, the drying trees. This is drying architecture devices. And following this map, we know that it's better for doing sport when it's a little more dry, because you have the perspiration of the body, and when the air is full of water, you could no more have the sweat. And so we propose to have all the sport activities in this area. So it will be some sport programs that find place. This is the black dot in this different area.
那我们接下来看到的是湿度的图。那我们在公园本身就有很多滞洪池，那它就是公园里面最湿的地方。那有些滞洪池都是常年有水。那我们西南风会把这些水汽吹往比较远的地方。那所以我们第二张图就是公园里面的湿度分布。那一样也是越干的地方，我们放越多气候装置来增强它干爽的效果。那除湿装置就是有分树和人造的和自然的。那一样我们也设计了很多可以除湿或是遮雨的气候装置。然后左边这张就是所有的降温除湿的植栽，中间的就是所有的除湿的气候装置。那我们在干爽的分区里面，我们设计的是运动的活动。
And so we create a second layer, a second map. And the last map is a pollution map. We have some big streets that are near the park or go through the park or there. And so we map where it will be more noisy in white or more polluted, we have more gas coming from the car, and where far from this area it will be here more clean or more silent, so it will be in this dark area. And so we reinforce this quality by placing a lot of trees that will absorb the pollution, because it's trees that have hairy leaves or that have big trunk, porous big trunk that could absorb the noise. So it will be all the depolluting trees map that will be there. And we add to these trees, we add some architectural structure like a wall against noise, or it could be also some, we have one mosquito repellent there, or it could be some air that will be blown after to be filtered from the pollution, from the gas pollution and the particle matter pollution that will be blown in some part of this area. And then, following this map, so we propose to have all the family programs, the children program in this most cleanest area and more silent area that find place, so the playground for the children will be there in this area.
那最后一张图就是污染。公园里面我们研讨的是空气污染和噪音污染，有公园四周的车辆所带来的噪音污染。那我们有公园里面不同的污染分布，那我们也设计了很多去污染的气候装置。那有一些是去蚊虫的，也有防止噪音的，也有清空气。那在公园里面的最干净的地方，我们也放置了家庭活动，提供家庭还有小孩子来玩耍。还有最干净的地方也是无障碍空间。
So it means that from this climatic analysis we have generate 3 maps, 3 layers, and these 3 layers overlap together and create some different situation. And this is very important because we didn't want to create only one comfortable zone. The idea is to create different quality, different microclimate, because after everybody could go, maybe if it's a cloudy day, you prefer to go more in an empty space, or if it is during the winter, you go more in the empty, in an open space. But if it is a summer, you go more in the cold area. So it means it's it's overlap. And it also generates some different qualities. Sometimes it will be cool and dry and polluted, or cool, dry and non-polluted. So it generates a diversity of area that will be the richness of the quality of the park. And then we propose to have 3 main roads inside the park that connect all these microclimates together. So it means that there is the blue path connect all the sport and the dry area. So it will be a path that will be going on the hill and going down. So it will be more for sport, for jogging, for to use more muscle. And the second one is a leisure path, a red path that will be a normal path for lovers or for people moving like a natural leisure in the park. And the last one is for the children path that connect all the depolluting area together. Will be a very flat path, so more big for babies and children and wheelchair that will be there. So it gives 3 types of quality of paths that we could use in the park for different activities. And it connects all together, so you follow the red path, you go in all the different cool area, or the blue one, you go into different cool, into different dry area.
我们把这3张气候图重叠在一起，就有温暖凉爽，还有干和湿，还有清净和污染。把它重叠在一起，我们就有各种不同的微气候区，那就有各种不同的组合方式。所以园内就不是一种单调的气候氛围。那我们又在里面设计了3条气候，我们叫做气候路径。那粉红色的这个就是凉爽路径，它串联园内所有凉爽的地方。那它是比较平缓的，那大家就是提供民众散步用。然后蓝色的就是干爽路径。那它是提供，因为它串联所有的干爽的区域，那也提供民众可以做运动的活动，它的坡度就比较变化比较大。那最后一个路径就是灰色的那个是清爽路径，它串联所有最干净的地方。
So after this we give name to the most dry area, the most cool area, the most depolluting area, and we call Coolia. It's a little like America, Australia, or Africa. It's to give a name, so we have different name for the cold area. So it's the Western Coolia, the Northern Coolia, the Middle Coolia, Southern Coolia. It's a little like in Tolkien and Lord of the Rings. There is name of country. So you could go there in the southern Korea, or you find different name for this. And this area find a definition and a program according to the neighborhood. So it means that near the university it will be more for young people activities of leisure. On the north it's more linked to housing, so it will be more family leisure activity, and there is more businessman here, so it will be more businessman activity that find place in this area. And this is the same for the dry area and the clear area. So this is we give a more precise definition of some area with different programs.
那这些气候分区，我们也都把它取了名字，叫做气候，本来是国度，但因为政治关系，所以现在叫做气候分区。那我们有的分区是北的凉爽分区，西凉爽分区，中凉爽分区，南凉爽分区。那又依照因为四周不一样的使用者，譬如说在东边我们比较多住宅区，那西边比较是学生比较多的地方，然后在东北边还有商业，就是上班族会来用地方，那南边比较多游客，那我们就针对这些使用者，所以放置了不一样的机能。
And this is the kulia. We have some 4 kulia in the park, and this kulia will be the place where there is a lot of trees, that cooling trees, and a lot of devices, cooling devices that will be there, and we wanted to give an identity of this for this each of the kulia, and we proposed we try to find trees and we choose the trees according to their cooling type, cooling capacity. So this is some trees will be trees that have a lot of leaves. It's a big that create big shadow. Some of them have big leaves that create a big, large shadow. Some of them are white leaves that reflect the sun, and some other are evaporating water, so it means it's cool because it's like a fountain, so there is a cooling effect. So the choice of the trees is in order to cool the area. So it's a precise choice, and we find one more specific trees for each kulia.
在不一样的凉爽国度分区里面，我们也放了不一样的树木来达到降温的效果。那不一样的树木有不一样的遮阴的尺寸，还有树叶的大小。那有它的蒸发水汽，那有的它叶比较白，会反射比较多的太阳光。
We have some pedagogic panels that will be explaining the trees and the cooling phenomena. And this is that show how we organize the plantation of the trees. So where it's the coldest area, we have a lot of trees to increase. So we are not fighting the nature. We use the nature. It's a little like the garbage. We are not going against the nature. We use the natural quality and we reinforce them. So it means where it's a little already cold because there is more wind, so we increase this cold area by placing a lot of trees and a lot of devices. And when it's become more warm, so the trees start to be more big, and so there is a gradation plantation of this. So it will be sometimes very dense, so it will become like a forest. And in this area, and when you go inside, you will find also some architectural devices. So there is like the total is like 260 devices. Half is passive one. It's like a structure, a shelter against the sun. But some other use some different techniques, some different metallurgical techniques to cool the air. So some of them use pressure, so it blow air, it will be blow cold air. Some other will be like artificial, like rain or like cloud. It will blow some mist of air or some droplet, and the droplet will evaporate. And when there is an evaporation, it took energy from the air, and so it refresh the area around it. Some of them will be working by radiation, so it will be a cold network of water that will run this, and you could approach and touch this cold surface. And some of them, like this, is just a passive one. It's a stone, it's a rock, with a very big thermal insulation, so there is no transmission of heat from the top to the bottom. Some other are a filter of color, because the white light have 100% of heat, 50% are in the infrared, and if you selected only one light, the purple one, for example, it's a lower intensity of heat inside, so it means it will be the lowest, the coldest light, if we want, we could have. And some other create like a night sky, and with a very, very small hole like the moonlight. So it will create different target. Also in the park, when you move, you will walk in the park. Sometimes you discover one of these elements that give richness and a diversity of cooling effect inside the 7,000 trees we have that are the most important way to cool and to dry and to clean the park.
公园里面的植栽，我们就是植栽气候装置，我们都放在最凉爽的地方，因为我们并不想对抗大自然，我们是利用顺水推舟，然后增强它的降温效果。那在公园里面，我们还会看到这些气候装置。那气候装置有些是被动，有些是主动，那它们会产生制造不一样的气候现象。像有些是吹冷风，有些是降小雨，有些是制造像会有像云一样的水汽这样。然后也有的是利用遮阳，或是过滤能量比较高的太阳光，也有利用恒温或是冷辐射，那利用不一样的效果来降温。
So it will become a little the landmark of the park, because it will be like some of them will be quite spectacular, some of them will be quite funny also, because sometimes there is this rain that starts, or the mist that starts, and so it will become like a target when you go in the park. And I would like to present only two of them. So the first is anticyclone. So this device will blow some cold air, and of course everything in the park we have 7,000 square meters of photovoltaic panel on the north of the park, and we will use this energy, this green energy, for all the lighting. I will show it later, but for these devices we have only natural passive cooling, so we have only a fan, and we have studied with our engineer all the influence at different moments of the year to see what could be the influence, what have to be the size of the pipe, and the quantity of air and the speed of the air. And the technique is will be like a very traditional one, because it will be to take the air, and the air go through a heat exchanger with the city water, because the city water in Taichung is around 27. It's 27 degrees all the year. So we have a heat exchanger, so it means that the air will blow through the city water that is cooled by the underground travel in the ground, and so it's the first way of cooling. And then after this heat exchange with the city water, it goes down, and it goes down to 5 meters. We do a test last year to see the temperature underground, and we saw that the temperature after 1 meter, if it is 35 degrees outside, it will be something like 29 at 1 meter, 26 and 25 at 5 meter. So it means that the air will go down and will travel underground and in the pipe, and will be cool again in this duct. This is a very simple technique that is used in Switzerland for housing and for cooling the air or for warming the air during the winter and cooling during the summer. And then this air will arrive there and will be blown under these devices, so it will create a kind of pocket of cold air where you could go and feel this freshness when it's warm outside.
我们选2个气候装置来做解释。那第一个，这个叫做反气旋，它会吹凉爽风。那反气旋，它我们跟工程师、IT师研究，主要是我们把公园里面引进自然风，然后利用地下水来引进机房里面，让它冷却，让风的温度降温，然后再把它引到地下冷却，然后再把它传到气候装置。那这个埋在地下传送的这个方法，在欧洲非常常用，就是地中管方式，来确保它的空气会是凉爽的，然后引到气候装置再把它。
So there is no air conditioning, there is no mechanical system for cooling the air. It's only a small fan that blows the air, and all the cooling is made by the underground heat exchange.
所以降温我们就是利用这个自然的水温，还有地中管的方式来降温。我们在机房里面并没有放冷气。
Another devices will be what we call cloud. So it will be like we have different type of cloud. It will be an evaporative devices. So it will be a mist of water, and when there is this change from liquid, when it's a small droplet of water, when it's go out, when it's evaporates. It took energy from the air and it cooled the area. So it's a little more traditional device because it's a little like a fountain or like a jet water in a park.
这个叫做卷力，那它会喷出水汽，降低周边的气温。那我们只是把利用引进地下水来喷洒比较凉的水，那它就像传统公园里面的喷泉一样，来提供人体降温效果。
For the dryer, for the most dry area, we have all these drying trees. And we add also some different devices. This is one of the devices, we call it dry cloud. And this device will provide some dry air in the space. But just to explain, before the dryer, we have also some different trees that will absorb the humidity of the air with the floating roots. And then we have different combination of trees, different also in the street dryer, we have a different type of trees. And then we have these devices, these different devices. This is shelter against rain, and this is this one device that blows dry air. And this device will use, so it's the more complicated technique we are for doing this, but it was we use air and it goes through silicate gel bag, and so it's also a natural way of cooling. So because the silicate gel absorbs the humidity, but after the silicate gel bag is full of water, so we need to dry it by a network of warm water that go inside, and so the bag has to stay without action during a few hours. And then the dry air will be blown from the devices in the bag.
在公园里面最干爽的地方，我们放很多会除湿的洗材，它们会吸收空气里面的水汽。那我们也设计了一系列的除湿的气候装置。那刚刚大家看到的叫做干燥雨，它会吹出干空气。那干空气我们是利用机房里面的细胶来吸收空气里面的水汽。
And for the last map, we have this what we call the clear area. We have 4 clear areas, so it will be the less polluted area and the most clean area in the park. And for doing this clear area, so we choose also some specific trees that have a depolluting action. So it could be trees with a lot of hair that catch the pollution of the air, or some trees that absorb the gas pollution, or some trees that have a big trunk to absorb the noise. So we give some different specificity for this tree, for the 4 clear area, according to different depolluting trees that we find place there. And so sometime in this grid, so we change one-to-one architectural devices. That could be a noise, a sound wall, or it could be photocatalytic rocks that transform the pollution of the air, that absorb the pollution of the air, or it could be one fan that blows some clean air. So this is like the ozone eclipse. It's like an eclipse of pollution inside the air. And so this is a device that we take the air outside, and then it goes to different filters, the gas filter, NOx filter, O3 filter, or particle PM2.5 filter, and then it goes down and it flows clean air under the devices.
在公园里面最干净的地方，我们也放了很多会让公园比较去污染的植栽。那这些植栽有的它是有毛，它会吸收，它会捕捉空气里面有毒物质。那有些它是树干比较粗，那它可以吸收噪音。那我们也设计了一系列的去污染的气候装置。那有些它会提供过滤过的空气，那有些是过滤掉对人体有害的紫外线，那有的是去除蚊子。
So quickly, I would like to show how there is a kind of intelligent system for the park, because we will have a grid of every 50 meters we have a sensor that will measure in real time the temperature, the humidity in the air, the pollution in the air, the noise, and the wind, and everything. And this sensor gives information to the computer. This is a sensor that measures all these parameters, and from it goes to the computer, and then the computer will generate in real time the map of the park for the temperature, for the humidity level, and for the pollution. So it will give information also for your mobile phone, so when you will arrive in the park, you could know exactly where it will be the most cool area or the most clean area. So we could see in real time where to go.
接下来我们要解说的是公园里面的智慧型管理系统。那我们在公园里面每隔50公尺都会放一个感应器，那它会侦测公园里面的温度、湿度、污染度，然后把它传到公园里面有一个管理中心，里面有一个电脑室。那它民众可以利用智慧型手机，那就可以得到这些公园里面的气候的讯息。那大家就可以知道现在公园的几度、湿度几度，哪里比较污染，哪里比较凉爽。
And so we will compose an index, so it will be like on 6. So you could see in white it will be the coldest area you will find, and in red the warmest area, and it will be updated every 2 minutes, every 5 minutes. So you will find in real time the heat on site. The same for the humidity level. And the same for the pollution. We will create an index that mix the different parameters of different pollutants, and so it will show the less polluted area. And so you could decide to go when you arrive in the park to go in the less polluted area at the current moment.
那这些数据我们会整合成我们叫做亲和指数，那它就会让民众比较清楚知道公园里面的污染程度，或是温度的高低、湿度的高低，那民众也可以自己决定最适合自己想去的地方。
So from this we will because all the electricity is produced by the 7,000 square meter photovoltaic panel we have on the north of the park. So this is an example, but it means depending of the sun, depending of the quantity of electricity, we will first sell the electricity. We will keep the electricity first for the lighting during the night. So when we produce electricity by ourselves, by the photovoltaic panel, then we keep for using during the night. This is all for the night, and then it's this is for the night, and then it's for the building, and then when we have finished to use all the electricity for the night and the building, we could have still some electricity. We will use it for the devices. So this is an example. For example, if we have 7,000 kilowatts production of electricity, we need 2,000 for the building, and then we have still 5,000 kilowatts, and then some of the device could be on according to the quantity of electricity. So it means if it is very cloudy, so no devices will be on, or only 1 or 2, and if there is a lot of electricity or a lot of sun, so a lot of devices will be on.
那公园里面的气候装置也跟我们公园北面有一个7000平方公尺的太阳能发电。那我们在一天里面，我们会先把晚上需要用的电量先卖给台电，那剩下的电我们才会拿来用来启动气候装置。那根据一天我们得到的能量来说，就是不一定，电力越多，开启的气候装置越多。
And according to this, we have also a smartphone application, so you could see directly some information about the climate in real time, so you will know if where you are and where is the different parts of the toilet or things like this, and you will find in real time the temperature in the park and where you are, so you could see, okay, here it's too warm, I could move there, it will be more cool. And the same for the humidity, the same for the pollution, it will give in reality the real-time level of pollution. And then there is some recommendation for different activities, it is good to do some sport at this moment. And so you have all the detail after of the air temperature, the wind speed, the sun radiation that will be given inside. And also you could scan the different devices and the trees to get some information about the type of trees, what is the climatic quality of these trees, what is the action of these devices that will be on the iPhone.
民众会可以用智慧型手机的应用程式来知道青翠园里面即时的气候资讯。那我们也会提供依照各个不一样的湿度、温度或污染度，提供民众不一样的选择，做不一样的活动。那民众也可以用手机来扫描气候装置，那就会得到气候装置的所有的讯息。
I would like just to show, we have some building inside the park, and one of the buildings will be like the visitor center that give information about the park, that explain the issue about the climate issue about the park, and it will be also a cafe there. And this building is based on this idea of this meteorological idea, on this idea that architecture is dealing with climate, and so we propose to have different layers. So we have different grid. One grid is against like a not normal grid. The other is against humidity, or dealing with the humidity. Like it's a waterproof insulation, and then we have a thermal insulation, and then we have the structure. So we divide all the different logic of the building into different layers, and we open space in between the different layer to create space. So it means, for example, here it will be inside the grid. Here the thermal insulation moves there, the waterproof moves there. So it will create space in between these different things. And then it will be the cafe, the visitor center, where you could get some information, and we will get also 3 space where you could feel and have a social experience about the climate, about the heat, the humidity, and the pollution, and it will be like social space where you could go inside. And the first one is this is a detail of the building with all the different layers that split sometimes together in order to create a space. This is like the waterproof layer, the insulation layer, and the structure. And inside this building, so we will find these 3 rooms. One room will be called Coolion, so it's like the space of the cool. The second one will be the dryer, it's the space of the dry, and the last one will be the cleaner.
这个公园里面其中一个建筑物是游客中心。那我们设计的概念就是也是利用这个气候的理念，那我们用不一样的层次来组合这个建筑物。那最外面的是隔栅，然后是安全保护这件事。那接着我们有防水层，然后隔热层跟里面这个结构。那这些层次的组合和分开，都给我们不一样的空间。那我们在这个游客中心里面，我们有咨询中心，还有咖啡厅，另外还有3个不一样提供民众不一样感官经验的模拟室。那一个是凉爽，一个是干爽，一个是清爽，就像公园里面的气候特质。
So in the first room, it will be to go and to feel the coldness. So the idea is to reproduce in real time the climate of Alishan, like the Jade Mountain, when you will go inside this space, so it will be like going in altitude. This is one of way, because it's different. The temperature according to the level, the altitude is different. So if you go in real time from Taichung to Alishan, there is a different level of temperature. So we have sensor in Alishan that measure in real time the temperature. So we know that it's from 4 degrees Celsius to 7 or 8 degrees Celsius during the summer and 4 during the winter. And so when you will go inside in summer in Taichung, so you will enter this space and you will feel the temperature of the mountain, what the real temperature of Alishan in real time. And inside this space, it will be a little project we made for the Biennale in Venice. So it will be like it's also the Jade Mountain, the white mountain. So it will be like the snow, the reverberation of the snow. So the light comes from the ground, and it will be cold and white, like to be in the snow in the mountain in real time.
首先介绍的是两馆，那我们希望提供民众的感觉是像在山上。那我们会提供民众即时阿里山的气温。那在山上的能见度，我们会提供像在玉山即时的光线度。那民众在里面就会像在山上，然后很白，然后很凉这种感觉。
The second space will be the dryam, and in the dryam we think about the most comfortable maybe moment in Taichung, and we say that maybe it's in November because humidity is lower in November and December. This is what we see on this drawing. This is the level of average of humidity. And maybe we could consider that the 21 of November is one of the most comfortable days. The temperature is not so high, not so low, and the humidity level, the relative humidity is not so high. So we propose to reproduce endless, without interruption, endless repetition of the 21 of November. So when you will go in this space, we will have the light, you enter there and you will get the climate in real time, not in real time, but if it is, you go the 15th of July at 3 p.m., you will find the temperature and the relative humidity of the 21 of November at 3 p.m. And the light is moving, we have the light inside that takes the same direction than the sun of the 21 of November, the same angle, and the floor, we will walk on a glass floor, and so it means that at noon the light will be there and it will turn, and if you come in the night, you will see like a transparent planet, you will see the light under your foot that go and turn, and it's every day it will be like an endless 21 of repetition of the 21 of November.
那在台中11月21号是最干爽的日子，所以我们在干馆里面我们会提供民众的是全年11月21日的气温和湿度。那我们也有这个日光灯，然后它是跟着太阳的轨道，那每次会亮5根，那就是即时的太阳光。那比如说白天它就在上半层，那晚上它就会，因为民众是站在2楼。然后是一个玻璃的地板，所以夜晚它就是在1楼在脚下。
And the last room will be the clearium. So here we will reproduce the climate of Taichung before the pollution. So it means before the Industrial Revolution in 1832, during the 19th century. And before there is a car pollution and the industry pollution. So for doing this, we will create a space that will be open, but we will blow some clean air inside, and the temperature will be 1 or 2 degrees less because there is a global warming that changed the climate of 1 or 2 degrees since the 1832. And also we will produce some cloud in the sky. It is open, but we will produce some cloud because we know today that with the global warming, the cloud coverage could be lower because it's linked to the evapotranspiration or perspiration of the plant. And the plant, if the climate becomes warmer, the cell of the plants becomes closed, and so there is less water that go on in the sky and less cloud. So this is a very new study that shows that there is in the future it will be less cloudy than today.
那在清管我们要制造的是1832年工业革命之前的气候状况。那在那个工业革命之前，空气比较干净的，那云量也比现在的多，所以我们会吹出干净过滤过的空气。那在屋顶，我们就是没有屋顶的一个模拟室，那我们会在四周喷出水汽，像云一样。
So going in this space will be, if you go there the 18th of May at 3 p.m. it will be like in 2015. It will be like going in the 18th of May at 3 p.m. in 1832.
在这个清管里面，就像全年都是1832年的同一天的同样时间的感觉。
I don't know if we have time to just to show a very new project we are working on since December. It's a project it's like a very sketch design for a new museum in Qatar, in Doha. And Qatar is a very dry climate, but it's the same latitude that in Taiwan, in Taichung. But it's very dry during the day and very warm during the day. And so we propose to do a mix between three targets, between the meteorology, between the conservation of artwork, and between the traditional architecture and the Qatar culture. And for doing this, we first analyze the light, and the light in the Qatar is very high, so it means it could be 100,000 lux during the day. And of course, the conservation, if you have artwork, you need to have only, depending on the material, if you have paper, you must have 300 lux, because if you have more, it will destroy the paper and destroy the artwork and the ink. So it means that, okay, we need to reduce we need to reduce very strongly the light intensity. And so we propose to do this work on this layer, on the first layer. The first layer of the building will be reduction of lighting. And how to do this? So we have analyzed the albedo, but also the mouche arabier, the traditional way to reduce the light. And there is something also interesting, is a colorful mouche arabier. And what I said before, in reality, the heat coming from the sun is like 50% of the heat is inside the visible, and 50% is inside the infrared, inside this part. So if you reduce, if you use, you filter the infrared and also a part of the visible, you could reduce, if you have 100% of heat coming from the sun, you could reduce by using, if you have only cyan light wavelength, so it will be only 7%. So it means we propose to divide in different wavelengths the natural light, to keep only one specific wavelength, and then to to let the sunlight coming on the magenta panel, and then there is a reflection on the white panel, and then it goes back, and the same for the magenta and for the yellow. And by addition of these three colors, we will recompose a white light, but with less energy and less intensity. So it's like we have all the white lighting, we have a division and a recomposition, and then but without with a division of the intensity of heat. And this is some and this work will be on the first layer of the building. And this is some horizontal, so it's let going the view, but it blocks the sun ray. And the second layer is about humidity. It's very dry during the day, and if you look to museum recommendation, you must have something like 50% of relative humidity to keep the material of the artwork. And also in the traditional Islamic architecture, there is the use of fountain that evaporates water and cool the air, because this is a molecule of water, of liquid, so there is bound in between the molecule, and when it's separated by evaporation, when it's become gas, like in the fountain, it needs energy, and this energy comes from the air, and so it's cold the temperature. And so we propose to have on the second layer an evaporation of water in order to increase the humidity of the air that is very dry during the day, and to cool the air by evaporation too. So it's, we use salt from the seawater there, and during the evaporation phenomena, so the salt will fall down, and because the humid air is more light than the dry air, the humid air will go up naturally to the museum. And the last, so it will take place in this second layer. And the last layer is about inertia. This is a traditional wall, earth wall in Morocco or some Arabic country. It uses a delay of phase between night and day, because there is, depending on the thermal coefficient of the material, it takes, for example, in the first wall, it takes 12 hours, the heat or the coldness of the night, when it touches the surface, it goes through the building and go inside in 12 hours. So it means that during the day you will feel the night coldness, and during the night you will feel the day warmness. And we propose to have the same with the water. It will be, depending on the thermal coefficient, only 30 centimeters, and it will create the last layer of the museum. And because this is the horizontal panel, so there is radiation with the night sky vault that will cool the water during the night. And so the museum is, so this is a plan, so this like the lighting, the humidity and the inertia that take place in different layers. And the plan, this is the first sketch of this project. So the plan is this inside, after the water wall, it will be a very wide cube and very traditional exhibition room, and here it will be an air conditioning spaces with using the evaporation, the natural evaporation. It will be exhibition for artwork, but in a natural lighting. And the last, in the yellow line, it will be outside, and it will be like an exhibition for artwork like this outside. So thank you. I think we don't have to translate. Maybe if you have questions, we are open. I'm open to answer. And during the question, I could just let during the movie we made for the competition.
Thank you very much. Packed with inspiring information. So, 好，其实时间不多，有没有任何同学有问题可以自由提问？Everyone's starting running out of information. See if anyone has any questions. Silence your spatial quality.
Sorry, I was a little loud. Too loud. Sorry.
No, not at all. Anyone? Any question? Last chance. Yes.
About the project you did for the park in Taichung City, the local legislature actually has criticized that they think the overall the concept was very nice, but they're afraid the budget will be totally acceptable, and also they are also question the factions that you're trying to reach, especially for the temperature control. They are questioning whether it's possible to realize it. So can you say something about this? Whether it's possible to achieve, or it's just a project or design come from your imaginations?
No, I think the client is here, and of course we are very. All the budget, is very controlled, and we have a successful first tender for the first part of the project, and it was like 10% lower the price than what we calculate, so it was quite good for us, and it was a good surprise. So I think we always, and it was also my work, really to fight against over cost design during the process, and we always wanted to stay in the budget and never to go higher. So we did it really seriously, and personally I also take care about this to reduce when some parts becoming too important, to reduce it, and to alert also the client sometimes that some part is becoming too important and we need to stay in the budget. So we really did do it seriously, and for the second question, it's about the cooling and the effect. I think it's the effect will be there, but it's I think this is as Alphonse said during the 19th century when he created a park with trees to cool the area. I think the cooling effect will be there, of course, because it will be shadow. It's very dense. Sometimes we have a lot of trees. It's become very like a heavy forest, so it will be very cold. And I think the device participate to this. It's the climatic devices, this architectural structure are quite a small part of the. We have 7,000 or 8,000 of trees. We have only 200 devices, so it's quite small, the quantity of device according to the number of trees on the surface. So it will be just some sometime you are walking in the forest and you find a strange an element that could become give you another feeling. Sometimes it will be you are protected from the sun, and you arrive and you will feel a fresh wind. So it will give some goal of promenade, or so if you are, it will be like a landmark of the park, and also it will create sometimes some. We have also some mist. You find the restaurant in Taichung. You have some mist also to cool the air. So sometimes it will be a similar mist. You could arrive and there is this mist, or it could be a rain. So during the sunny day, you know, during 5 minutes there is a rain that will be produced, and you could cool and play under this. So it will create some different event and link to coolness in the park. Yes.
Any more questions?
Well, I'd just like to compliment Philppe on the excellent work with some of the amazing ideas that has shown us, and also that they're becoming realized. And I think maybe a bit following on the last question, I think what's really interesting to me is how the work makes people aware of their climate and the conditions, like in a creative way. So maybe you could talk a little bit about the difference between a prescriptive result, like a scientific or engineering result that must achieve this level, and the more architectural ambition, which is to make people aware of their environment and to give them control over it and to provide a range of options for them to occupy in different ways. So I think that's, for me, the real strength of the work, is that it brings that into the forefront of our minds and allows us to understand the environment in a different way.
Yeah, I think my position is, you know, I'm completely after the generation of the critical theory. I mean, I'm not modernist. I come after the postmodernist, and of course the postmodernist was critic against functionalists and the idea that we must have the best comfort, the maximum comfortable temperature, like Le Corbusier, or like you know, to go in this idea of what is the best and what is not good. And during the critical period, during the 70s, and they say, no, we must keep diversity, we must have multiplicity. You know, it's not only to have one result. If you could accept to have different quality, different people, different feeling, and so we don't have to be only like a modernist way, functionalist way to achieve only one result. So we have to open to different possibility and different results. And it was, for the park, it was really the target. By using these three maps, by overlapping this, it creates random situation. It creates, sometimes it will be cold, dry, and polluted. And sometimes it will be something else. And sometimes, and for me it was really important, because you will not use only the park the 15th of July at noon. You will also use the park the 15th of July at 8 p.m. And at 8 p.m. maybe it will be cold. It will be so it will be not good to go in the only coldest area. If we cool all the park, so what you do in winter, you know. So you must keep empty field, empty space where it will be warm during the summer or at noon, but it will be very comfortable in December. So I think this is the difference between a more engineer work or more modernistic approach, is that we create diversity and we open to different interpretation of the space.
Okay, but last but not least, on behalf of Hongja University and our department, it's a little souvenir for this will accompany for your road trip. It's a sketchbook. So
Thank you.
Record more on Taiwan.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And I would like to thank you very much, because it's really important for me to explain a project, and I really want to welcome and to thank the clients and the PCM that are working with us for the project. And I think it's good to have time like this also to understand and to share the project together.
好，最后一次掌声，谢谢。